Did you hear this stuff that's going on with Suge saying that Dr. Dre didn't make Doggy Style, Daz did, and Dr. Dre didn't produce California Love?
About the California love thing, that's new, but Suge been saying that about the whole doggy style thing, Mike.
I mean, I know you've had a conversation with Glove. We've seen the interview. I guess based on. Did you hear what Suge said, or should I pull it up real quick for the people, and then we kind of
I mean, you can
respond to
pull it
it
up
there.
for the people if you want to. I've heard what he said before, but
Oh, let me pull it up real quick since it's new. This is fair use or whatnot. You know, TMZ caught up with Suge. I don't say caught up with Suge. I mean, he's still locked up, but they had a conversation with him. And here's what Suge had to say. Let me know if you can hear this.
Classic moment. It's the opportunity to tell the truth, regardless of what it is. Even when it comes to, say you take Daz. Now, Daz runs his mouth a lot of times, but that's neither here nor there. I still got love for everybody who was I was there, right? And he can't help himself. You know, Daz has mental health issues before. He's been in the hospital before. That's not putting him down, that's the past. But what's so great about Daz is that this guy I went to and said, we got to finish the album. He did everything on Doggystyle by himself. The whole album was done. He did everything. He produced it. So when it was time to come out, you know, the distributors were like, well, they wanted Andre to be on there. And Andre wanted to be on there. So Andre went to Daz. He said, look, Dre was like, well, look, man, let me say it's produced by me. And put my name on it, and you'll get paid, but let me be the one who produced it. So I told Daz if that's something he wanted to do, I don't recommend it because you're the one who produced it, and then you're giving up your publishing and stuff. So Daz signed paperwork and said it was produced by Dre. So you can't turn around and say that guy didn't make a difference. He came in and clutched and finished that album, which turned out to be one of the biggest records around, and you would see the process of that in this series. Even when you mention Corrupt, in the series you'll see that Corrupt is probably the best artist for as a rapper, for his lyrics, than anybody still today. When this guy was around, Corrupt would, if somebody said they can freestyle, the first person we're going to put to bat is Corrupt. And I can tell people, hey, if you can be Corrupt, you pick your number, I don't care if I don't give a fuck if it's $1 million, you got a contract.
mm-hmm.
If you can't be Corrupt, they might want to rough you up a little bit, but he never lost. So, in the series.
Okay. All right. We'll get to that in 1 second. Let me get to the super chat. Donette. I'm sorry, Dante. Excuse me, Dante. Jedi with the super chat says Steph's legacy will hit harder than KD. One before him, one with him, one after him. Impact more. What has KD accomplished team wise without Steph? Y'all love KD and his scoring, and he's still a cupcake. What say you to that? I mean, because again, I agree with that sentiment, you know, but I think that a lot of Steph's
If you
accomplishments,
want
as
to talk,
great as Steph
how about
is,
this?
greatest shooter of all time, a lot of his accomplishments are team accomplishments, whereas, you know, KD is kind of like, you know, a man without a country in a sense. A
If you want,
licensed gun, shall I say. A
okay,
hired gun,
so
excuse me.
how about this? You take somebody like Isaiah Thomas,
Mm-hmm.
and you take somebody like Moses Malone. Well, if you actually pay attention, Moses Malone had the better career, but Isaiah had more impact, and so he's lauded more as a player. But if you go look at it, and for those that were around, way more people was afraid of going against Moses in his prime than going against Zeke, and that's no knock to Zeke. You know what I'm saying? He's all-time
Well,
great.
with Zeke, you know you was going against a whole squad too,
Much like
much like Steph.
now, much like Moses, as soon as you gave KD some help, much like as soon as you gave Moses some help, it was like, well, bang, bang. but the centerpiece was him. So what I would tell you is that, well, KD's they're gonna finish with comparable free throw shooting percentages. One is a point guard, one is like a small forward. You know what I'm saying?
The older
The
I
free
get, man, and the more that I analyze the game and just how, the history of basketball has come together, I understand what a person like Jerry Krause was saying, even though, obviously you had Michael Jordan, so it's a little off, and Michael's really competitive. But organizations are very important, and the moves that organizations make to center certain people around, certain players, coaches, staffs, whether it be text winner and all that stuff, it matters. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at a team like the Spurs or an organization like the Spurs and how they were able to stay consistent with all of these pieces, making all these pieces work, those things matter. And in basketball, for whatever reason, we put sometimes all of those accolades on one individual. And what Steph has had in his career, what Draymond's had in his career, and Clay, that consistency, continuity, and great general managing staff and all that stuff matters, and it adds to their individual legacy. People like KD haven't really had that in their career, even though I think OKC did an incredible job of drafting. I think they
no,
had a great front office, but when they were actually making moves, he didn't stick with that. And that's what he got to live with.
Well, hold on, Mike. I'm going to disagree with you. People keep on lauding this OKC organization. No, they're great talent evaluators. They're not great at executing on the talent, and here's why. What Golden State did a few key things to establish their organization. Hierarchy, Mike. Let me explain the hierarchy. You see, Kevin Durant was your one, never a 1A to Westbrook's 1B. As soon as they did that 1A, 1B thing organizationally, they failed themselves as an organization. They didn't create a structure. Golden State structure is real simple and obvious. When Steph got there, it was Steph or Monte. They were there. They looked at Monte. They looked at Steph. They're like, Monte got to go. That's step one.
But hold on. It's easier to do that when they play the same position. You know what I'm saying? Like, there shouldn't have been a problem with Westbrook and KD coexisting. You know what I mean? Like, they're two different positions.
There's a 1 and then there's a 2. That 1A, 1B thing, it don't work. The only time Magic was a 2 was the first finals he won, and then Kareem got hurt, and he went into one position, Mike, and he stayed in one position even with Kareem there.
But whoever thought it was a 1A, 1B, you know what I mean? Like, I never thought that was the thing. And if
Mike,
that was a thing, that's in KD's head.
That's where they failed. That's an organizational failure. You're talking about the way that you see it. I'm talking about the way that people within the organization have spoken about how the treatment went.
Well, see, I think that a lot of that was probably due to KD's passive mentality. You know what I'm saying?
The organization, but this is what I'm saying. The organization, if they know that this guy has a passive mentality, so quote unquote, but he's still clearly the best player, between the two, here's really the real reality of the matter. You actually trade the other guy and go get assets and move somebody up on the ladder, and they didn't do that.
This is another Shaq and Kobe thing, honestly.
Yeah.
It is. You know what I mean? You got one person that's a killer and the other person who has a great talent, but, they don't work as hard as the killer over here. And
no, KD works harder than Westbrook. KD
probably.
Works harder than anybody except LeBron.
I agree with that. Probably. But I'm just saying the mental makeup of it. He's more of a Shaq than he is a Kobe, whereas Westbrook is more of a Kobe than he is a Shaq. You know what I mean?
Right. But KD is also very much like Shaq. It's like, different animal in the playoffs, and that's why you have him there.
Of course, I think from a talent.
Different animal when LeBron's on the other side of the court, and you don't know what to do, and there's only one person that can do something about it.
From a talent perspective, yes, I agree, and everyone knows that KD is KD, right? But I think
that's not a talent thing, Mike. That's a performance thing.
Yeah, performance, talent, all those things. No, yeah. Of course, KD's KD, but I think that the mentalities is what gets those things possibly convoluted, because I can't think of any other reason why anybody would even think that Westbrook is, 1B to KD's 1A. Like, it's clear who's number one and who's number two. It should be.
I mean, if you look at it, this is what I'm saying is it's like, well, one guy's got 4 scoring titles, 1 MVP, 2 rings, 2 Finals MVPs. Mike, sometime very early next year, he's going to become one of the top 10 scorers of all time, which is pretty rare air.
What is Westbrook? I think he's top 20.
The other guy has 2 MVPs, 4 rings, I think 1 scoring title.
How many MVPs did Westbrook have?
You went out again, Mike.
Oh, you there?
1.
One. Okay. I mean, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
pretty
I'm here.
great.
Like Westbrook got 1, Harden got 1, Steph got 2, Giannis got 2, Yoke got 2. You know what I'm saying? Now look at all those guys that I named. Do you think any of those guys are better than KD? He only got 1. You know what I'm saying? So the MVPs ain't really determining factor. Shaq got 1, Mike. Kobe got 1. Don't none of these guys want it with Kobe.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you this, man. This Denver series is going to tell me a lot about KD.
You know what, Mike? I'll agree, but I'll tell you what. That's what I'm saying is like, yeah, they lost by 20, but he got 29, 14, and 3 blocks. So if you're going out, you better go out just like that.
He better go, man. Look, that's not enough. A player like him is going to have to, if he got to go for 50, he got to go for 50, right?
I don't think shot-wise that's going to work with Book. That's why Shaq never went for 50 like that, Mike. He had Kobe right there. When you got somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like people, like Devin Booker got 70 points in a game. Those guys don't grow on trees.
No, that's real. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, Shug is not the barometer for integrity. Sounds like a man looking for attention since he's forgotten. If true, why is he the only one saying this? Well, he hasn't been the only one saying this. This is what I will say, though, to answer that, or to respond to that, rather. I don't think many people in the music industry are the barometer for integrity, period. So I don't want to just put that on Suge like, integrity is only a Suge thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's look around the music industry all together. Is the music industry the barometer for integrity? Come on now. Let's not just try to use a situation like this to discredit Suge. He could be telling the truth. And we've heard this before. Snoop said himself that Daz made the beats for Doggystyle, but Dr. Dre produced it. Even in your interview with the Glove, he was saying that they had the equipment on tour. What was it? The Chronic tour, I think he was saying. And they had a trailer where it was a whole studio, and Daz was the one working out of there. And he said most of those songs that were recorded in there ended up on Doggystyle. What am I paraphrasing it? Is that how it went?
That is more or less how it was explained or referenced. So this is one of those things. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. You see, when Suge is explaining it, it seems like, oh, well, Dr. Dre don't make no beats. When Glove is explaining it, it's, well, teamwork makes this dream work over here. That's why you're hearing what you're hearing. And so he didn't deny that some of the soundscapes, but also, too, and I don't know which exact songs, but he did list off those records, if I'm not mistaken, that Daz, quote, unquote, did the beat or the skeleton track, too. Now, Mike, I know you know this from being in the studio, too. Like my cousin Six has worked with other producers before. Sometimes Six would have the skeleton to a track, you know what I'm saying, that he had done. And the homie Steph would come and play some keys over it. You know what I'm saying? Because he'd be like, no, I got something, but it need a little bit more to finish. You know what I mean? Or the homie Hayes would add something, or Six would add something to the homie Hayes' joint when Hayes would bring tracks over. So it's like when Glove was explaining it, well, I understand how that works live because I've seen that happen where a producer has a skeleton and there are other producers in the room and somebody's like, oh, well, let me try this. And somebody's like, oh, no, do that. And then the rappers start chiming in with their thoughts, which the producers ignore altogether.
Right.
Just keep doing what they're doing. But that's kind of like how Doggystyle happened, according to Glove. And I've seen that happen in the Yo Live. So I get what Suge is saying, but it's kind of like making it seem like something nefarious when it's something that's actually been explained.
Michael Brown with the super chat says, Daz did the demos to Serial Killer. It ain't no fun. All my niggas and bitches. He didn't produce those records because if he did, he would have saved Death Row as lead producer after Dre left. Shug's delusional. Hmm. Dante Jedi with the super chat says, Steph's not really a point guard. He never led his team in assists. He does most of his work off the ball. Steph is a combo guard, i.e. AI and Beard. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And that's why I had issue maybe like a year and a half ago in putting Steph at the point guard position on an all-time lineup, or saying that Steph is the greatest point guard ever. It was hard for me to do that
Is
because
combo guard
he's not
official
even.
position now?
I
So do
think
we
so. It
have?
has to
So
be. He's
we
not
have
even the point
ones
guard on
and
his
twos, and
team.
we have combo guards, right?
What's that?
Okay, so Harden's a combo, and AI's a combo,
Mm-hmm.
and Steph will be a combo.
Yeah.
What would you say about Oscar Robertson then?
I didn't see Oscar play, but Oscar Robertson, based on.
Well, no, he's got the assist of a
I was
point
gonna
guard.
say, based on how he distributed the ball, I would have to say a point guard. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Critical Mass with the super chat says, huge Pac fan, but always thought Life After was better than All Eyes. Listen to both again and not sure anymore because Life After Death Disc 2, last 3 tracks, notwithstanding. Could we get a quick Disc 2 matchup? Huh. So Disc 2 from All Eyes on Me and Disc 2 from Life After Death matchup? Man, I don't know if All Eyes on Me could stand that one. I don't know.
This too? No. I mean, Mike, you need to stop ducking this features matchup on Station Head.
Oh yeah. We got to do that. All right,
No. Every week it's with the yeah.
Yeah. We got to do that. I got to get my list together.
You've been saying that for like 3 weeks. It just looked like you ducking and dodging and hiding. You know what I'm saying?
It's true. It does look like that. I just been super busy.
Bad, Mike, every week.
I'm gonna put. You know what? Let me write this down now. Let me get my Jigga list together. Jigga features. All right, it's here. It's gonna get done.
You're walking over, but you're limping back.
This is what I want to say though about this Dre thing though. This isn't like new information for a lot of people. Well, it shouldn't. But it seems like when Shug says it, there's people that want to doubt this. It sounds like Daz probably, just based on everything that we've kind of talked about based on this subject, it seems like Daz did put the groundwork for Doggystyle there. Now, obviously, when you got Dr. Dre there, the super producer he is, and the music mind that he is, I'm sure before an album comes out, you need to let Dre put some touches on it before it sees the light of day. What we don't know is what touches Dre actually put on Doggystyle from a production standpoint. But based on what Suge is saying here, it sounds like Daz did all of it, according to Suge, and Dre just put his name on it. Now, we have all this smoke for Drake and other people who have ghost writers or have had ghost writers in one individual instance, but we don't know how much help they've had. We do this to Kanye too. If any of this is true about Dre, how does that affect his overall, production resume if Daz did produce Doggystyle? And how does that elevate Daz?
Do you think that's enough to put Daz over Quick?
I mean, Doggystyle's a big one.
That ain't what I asked you.
I mean, Quick ain't got a Doggystyle.
He's got Born and Raised in Compton, and he's got Safe and Sound.
He ain't got a Doggystyle, man.
I mean, don't nobody else got a Doggystyle either, Mike. I get that.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's a big one.
Okay. When I think of West Coast producers,
because Daz also has All Eyes on Me too. He has a lot of important stuff on there too.
It's free. I was thinking about dog food. Well, here's how I've always looked at it. I've always looked at it like Dre, Quick, and Daz in that order in terms of the West Coast producers. Just me personally. That's how I've looked at it. So I would tell you that having Doggystyle would maybe be enough to reverse 2 and 3, maybe, but not enough to usurp number 1 still. Because let's say you take Doggystyle off the board, okay? Well, let's look at everything on the board. Can I interest you in Straight Outta Compton? Easy Does It, Niggas for Life, No One Can Do It Better, The Chronic, Chronic 2001, the documentary, Get Rich or Die. That's still like 9 classics.
I understand that. But what happens is, no, just like what we do with people who have been found to have ghostwriters here and there, it puts all of the work in question, correct? Like if Daz did Doggystyle, then we got to ask ourselves, well, who else did some of those other stuff? You know what I mean? I'm just putting it out there because, I'm just trying to be balanced.
And I get that you're being balanced, but we did a 3-part interview with Glove, and Glove pretty much told us for the time that he's there, he's like, no, Dre.
My bad, Coop. You went out.
Mike, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, it's just, the internet be acting skippy over here sometimes.
I think we froze.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, that's part of why I wanted to talk to Glove is that, it's like he said, I'm in the room.
Yeah.
Now, in that 3-part interview session in the room, he lets it be known that Dr. Dre has a team of people.
Yeah.
But the focal point of that is, the way it sounds to me is that Dr. Dre is very much like Quincy Jones.
Right.
And we not once have knocked Quincy, now have we?
No.
We hold him up super high for how he puts his projects together, don't we, to the highest degree?
I understand what you're saying, and you're right, to a degree. But
and much like Dr. Dre, blessed with a lot of talent around here. Rod Temperton,
yes,
Michael Jackson, Frank Sinatra.
Of course. But his role as a producer was never convoluted. We know what Quincy's role was. His role was to arrange. His role was to pull talent together, get great songwriters, get great musicians, and put them all in that room and make this mix work.
Dr. Dre does.
I understand, and I agree, and that's Dr. Dre's angle to hip-hop production. But hip-hop production in general is not really, that's not the role of a producer in hip-hop. The role of a producer in hip-hop normally is to produce the track and make the track, whether that be through samples, whether that just be original composition. And that's kind of how we gauge the rest of our hip-hop producers. I think Dre is the only one who is in that traditional style of production. You know what I'm saying? So that's what kind of makes it where it's like, okay, well, Daz made the beats, even though Daz would be the Rod Temperton in this conversation, right? But Daz has also made hot shit without Dre. And I think that Ambitions as a Rider, Dre's not involved in that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, well, when it comes to making a beat, do I want Dre or do I want Daz?
How about this? And we've had this conversation before. Well, if you want to, let's say that you felt that way, Mike, and you'd rather have Daz give you a beat. That's fine. You can go take an album full of Daz's beats.
Mm-hmm.
If you give me Dr. Dre, my album's gonna sound better than yours, and it don't matter how many of Daz's beats you have.
And then ain't no telling how many people that Dr. Dre was able to acquire to make your album sound like that. And that's cool. Now, I'm just saying that's cool, but where that becomes an even bigger conversation is if we talking about Dr. Dre and Kanye West or something, right? Okay, well, Kanye, we know that he can make the beat and he can do all of those other things to make sure that you have a great overall production.
You're right, Mike. But here's what we don't have. If you really want to start getting down to it, let's say... And we're putting Doggystyle back on the table.
Oh, now we got to put Doggystyle back on the table.
No. You're not. No. I mean, what you want to leave Doggy Style off the table, but insert
Nah,
Kanye into the conversation?
nah, we can leave Doggy Style on the
Because
table.
because because essentially, what Glove was saying is that like, no, this is Dr. Dre's way and method of working. I told you that one of the biggest things that I realized when I talked to Glove is I realized that Dr. Dre was eyeing Glove from afar. I told you,
Mm-hmm.
Glove is Dr. Dre's first talent acquisition as a producer.
Mm-hmm.
That's his first power move. That's like when Quincy Jones left the band in the orchestra thing and he went and picked somebody. He picked Mike. You know what I'm saying? So that's what Dre does. And quite frankly, and I'm saying this respectfully, we'll go pull up Dr. Dre's classics and look at where they rank all time. And then go pull up Kanye's classics and see where they rank all time. It's not strong enough and it's not long enough, Mike. It's still Dre. It's still not strong enough or long enough for us because for whatever, I just got done saying My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is the best rap album of the last 13, 15 years. We need to have a quick sidebar about that. And I love Late Registration and The College Dropout. That's not The Chronic, Doggystyle, and Straight Outta Compton. Let's not get it twisted. It's not that. His best three
Not
is way
B
better than
either.
Ye's best three. No, his best three is way better. Like each one of his best three, without even bringing 2001 into it, is better than Ye's best three, and it goes deeper and longer. Like because Ye's comp would be Get Rich or Die Trying for My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Nah, that's about 6 on the Dr. Dre chart. That's like first or second for Kanye. So no. So
Are
not
we
even Ye, man.
are we giving Dr.
Here you go
Dre?
picking up the Ye again. I hear you
No, no, no,
sneaky.
no. No. Are we giving Dr. Dre a pass for the misses? Like, are we giving him a pass for
Are you
all of
giving
the?
Ye a pass for the misses?
No, 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 no. Let me clarify here. He has executive produced all of Eminem's albums, except for like one, I think. And Eminem is supposed to be a quote unquote top 10 talent. 007 told us he's one of the five best talents ever in hip hop. And are we giving Dr. Dre a pass for all these duds that Eminem has put out that he was the executive producer for?
You
That's
know
like
what?
it. That's like if Kanye had Common for 9 albums and executive produced 9 of those albums, and all we got is one B and one Finding Forever. You know what I mean? 36 Chambers with the super chat
Mike,
says, Mike, we had a chat about this last year about Dre. Glove ended that conversation where he discussed collaboration and teamwork and how it metals together. Yeah. I mean, of course, we know that. All I'm saying is like when it comes to an all-time list, again, I feel like we've had this conversation too. It's like, is that fair to people like Daz? Is that fair to even people that have worked in his system
fair?
who don't get the credit?
Mike, this rap. You talking about fair?
I'm trying to be
Fair?
balanced here. Trey 9 Mo with the super chat
Rap, Mike.
says,
Talk about fair.
did y'all see Warren G's G-Funk documentary? I did not. I want to see that.
Hold on. Okay, so Mike, you want to talk about failure. Let's talk about let me ask you something honestly. I know it got criticized. Do you like the Firm album, Mike?
I don't
Do you
listen
think it's a
to it.
quality project?
I don't listen to it, to be honest.
That ain't what I asked you. I asked if you thought it was a quality project.
I think it's quality, but
Okay.
it's definitely not up to the
Do you think
level
it's
of
a
what it should
flop?
be.
That's what I'm trying to ask you. Do you think it's a flop? I know it's not up to the Dr. Dre standard, but is it a flop?
Yes.
Okay.
Because of the people that are on it. And
Yeah. Like having an all-star team, but you don't win the championship.
yeah, and these guys are in their prime. This is like prime Foxy. This is prime AZ, prime Nas, prime Dr. Dre damn near. So
Still
yeah.
went platinum. Never seen something platinum get called a failure. But
Well, I mean, all kind of shit
Nostradamus
sells.
did 1.5. I called
Yeah,
that.
all kind of shit sells. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's the I think the barometer for something like that would be impact. as far as like if it was supposed to live up to it. The numbers,
Well,
they could have got those numbers just based off the names alone. You know what I mean?
Aftermath Presents. Do you think that that's a failure?
Yeah. Yeah.
Murder Was the Case soundtrack.
Nah, I like that.
Okay, so that's not classic, but that's good to you, right?
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah.
Okay. What about Exhibit's album Restless?
I think that was. Hold on. We're having two different arguments here.
No, I'm talking about the albums
Do
he's
I think
executive
if
produced.
something is a success or is it
We got to
good?
get to this Kanye thing. I know what you're about to try to do. You're not about
No,
to Kanye.
is it being a success and being good are two different things. You don't think Watch the Throne is good, but it was highly successful.
No, I put that in a good category though. I won't tell you that it's a failure or a flop.
No way you could. You can't make that argument.
Well, here's what I'm trying to say. See, you're talking about the things Dr. Dre has failed at are the things that are good. Mike, Straight Outta Compton, Niggas for Life, Easy Does It,
Mm-hmm.
No One Can Do It Better, The Chronic, Doggystyle, The Chronic 2001, Marshall Mathers LP, The Eminem Show, Get Rich or Die Trying, the documentary, Good Kid, Mad City. You understand he's the executive producers of all these albums, right?
Some of those
No.
albums, though, hold on. Some of those albums he didn't produce
he's the
anything
executive.
on. He didn't produce
The only one
anything
he
on.
didn't do any beats on, Mike, is Good Kid, Mad City.
He did
The rest
nothing
of
on
them have
that.
Dr. Dre beats. All the other albums have Dr. Dre beats. So yes, he did do work on all those other.
How
projects.
much work
Good Kid,
did
Mad
he
City.
do on the Eminem show?
He did 5 tracks, if memory
Wow.
serves. He usually gives you a 5-piece. After Doggystyle, everybody gets the 5-piece, Mike. Nobody gets more than 5.
Let's go through this real quick.
He's still the executive producer of it, Mike. How many beats did Quincy Jones make on Thriller?
You talking about Quincy Jones? This is hip hop, man. Hip hop production and
I want you to
traditional
list
production
Kanye's
are
classic
different.
that he's the executive producer of. Because I just named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Well, if we
8,
wanna go
9, 10,
executive
11. Oh,
producer-
it's 12 classics he's executive produced. I'm taking that guy.
Let's see. I'm pulling up the
I'm
Eminem show
gonna
right
beat you with
now.
all your beat makers, Mike. How many? I told you, Mike. I love Jay Dilla. He never made one album that was considered a classic in every region of this country. Fantastic Volume 2 is the closest to it, Mike. I don't even know if that's a top 50 album.
But you know what I can say?
Beats are fire.
He
It's
actually,
Dilla at his finest.
but he actually produced those tracks. All right, I'm pulling up the
how did
Eminem
that,
show.
Mike, and how did that go in terms of the all-time ranking?
No,
of
I'm
that
pulling up
album?
the Eminem show right now.
Man, you can do all that. all that beat.
I want to pull up the Eminem show right now. He produced Business. Okay, that's one.
I like Business.
I like it.
I can tell how you said it.
That's it. Okay, no. Say what you say. He produced that too. And he produced My Dad's Gone Crazy. So out of 20 tracks, Dr. Dre produced 3 songs.
Who's the executive producer of the album, Mike?
Dr. Dre.
Who's the executive producer of Supreme Clientele, Mike?
I think it's RZA.
Don't he get credit for it, even though he only did 2 beats on Supreme Clientele?
Well,
for
who's
helping
the-
Ghost put
who's the
together?
executive-
What does Ghost say, Mike? Not what do you say? What does Ghost say about how important RZA was to putting Supreme together?
I don't remember. You know who the executive
Mike,
producer
it's funny
is?
how you know every verse on Supreme Clientele. You know everything about Supreme Clientele except for what Ghost said about RZA helping him put Supreme Clientele together.
Now, I'm
That
sure
is
he was very integral in that.
It's so funny how you were just forgetting that part.
You know who was the executive
Ridiculous.
producer?
You've been on one today.
Who was the executive producer of the Fugees' The Score?
Salon Remy. And
Proswell.
Wyclef.
Proswell. No, it was
Proswell's
Proswell.
a snitch, Mike. We don't need to, we
I
don't
mean,
need the
look,
snitches out of it today.
he's the executive. Does he get credit for producing The Score too? Okay, let's go to the Marshall Mathers LP. Dr. Dre produced with
Who's
Mailman.
the
Kill You.
executive producer, Mike?
Hmm?
He's called the executive producer for a reason.
So he doesn't have to produce tracks.
Mike, he's the executive producer of these
Okay,
albums.
so we
He's
should
not-
rank Dr. Dre as an executive producer other than a hip hop producer then.
Mike, he's the greatest hip hop producer of all time because he's made, yes. If you want to say there are people that make better beats, yes.
I think there are people that actually produce better albums because this is the thing.
Ooh.
No, I'm just being real.
Ooh.
He didn't produce these tracks. He executive produced them.
No,
Now,
no,
is
no.
he the
You
best
said these
executive
albums,
producer in
Mike,
hip
but
hop?
he
Sure.
produced those albums, Mike. He produced those albums.
Did he? Did he? We're just hearing that
Glove
Daz
Mike,
produced
Glove
the.
just told us all this, Mike. Why are you fighting what Glove said?
I'm not fighting with Glove said.
You
I'm
are,
not
Mike.
fighting.
You are essentially saying, no, you're essentially like, give me the guy that make beats that don't make the album as good.
No, that's not true. I mean, people actually. You mentioned the album with the Eminem show. Now if you're putting
He's the
Straight Outta
executive
Compton.
producer of it, Mike.
No, if you're putting Straight Outta Compton and the Chronic in there in 2001, I get that. But if we're talking about the Eminem show, he produced 3 tracks on there. You can't give him that. He didn't produce any. He didn't produce anything on Good Kid, Mad City. Like, how could we do that?
Okay, so let's take Good Kid, Mad City off. He doesn't deserve credit as the executive producer of the documentary, which only has 5 Dr. Dre tracks. He didn't put that album together, Mike.
He produced 5 on there.
Yeah. How We Do, Higher, the Mary J record, West Side Story might be his too. There's 5 on there though. Yeah, he did 5 on the doc. He did 5 on Get Rich or Die Trying, if I'm not mistaken. He not get credit for that. How Get Rich or Die Trying sound without Dr. Dre's executive production, Mike? Let's keep it real.
Hold on, I'm about to pull it up right now.
Want another 50 Cent mixtape? I'll show you how.
Let's see. Let me get this track list up.
Want 50 Cent is the future again, Mike? Go ahead and take Dr. Dre out the mix.
So we got Dr. Dre and Elizondo.
That's going diamond in the hood.
He produced 4 tracks on the album.
On which one?
And the 4 Get Rich or Die Trying. So one of those is Back Down.
Yeah.
You know, I think 50 could have did Back Down with anybody.
No, Mike, the beat the Back Down is crazy. You're not about to pull that move.
Nah, come on, man. The Back Down's more about 50 than it is the beat. The beat's
Beat the Back Down is crazy, Mike. You're wrong.
Cool.
Mike, please, people in the chat, please let people know.
Now,
Mike,
he actually did my favorite.
Mike, people was riding around playing Back Down because it sounded good, too. That beat snap, Mike. It bangs in the whip, Mike.
Now, he did my favorite beat on this album. He did Heat. Heat is crazy.
All the beats he did on there are crazy, Mike. He did In the Club.
He did In the Club and If I Can't.
Mike, what does that album sound like without those beats?
I mean, it's a great album, man, all around. All I'm saying is we're acting like Dre made all of these songs on these albums.
He's the executive producer of these albums, Mike, which means he is the one that choreographs this. He stirs this drink.
He's the executive producer of All Eyes on Me, too. And Pac said himself that he wasn't involved. Did he?
Yeah, Mike, no. I didn't put All Eyes on Me on this list because of that, even though it says executive
producer. But I'm
just
saying, his name's on that, too.
Everybody else has given him his credit, though, where he has the credit. But this is what I'm saying to you. This is a kitchen, Mike. And you got a chef, okay? Now, what I'm trying to tell you is that if you give all of these top-notch producers the same ingredients, Dr. Dre gonna have the best plate because there's evidence of that. End of story, Mike. End of story. If you give all the chefs the best, because when you're talking about this beat stuff, Mike, you're acting like he hasn't given other people beats. Well, like he has done beats for other people.
When is there evidence that Premier, Pete Rock, or even Kanye West had all of this talent around them that Dr. Dre had around them? I think that maybe because he was so early on in hip-hop production. Mike. They made that choice. But you said there's evidence that if you put all of those resources in the room, that Dr. Dre is going to end up on top. But it's like we haven't seen other people have all of those resources. Is it possible that Dr. Dre has just had more resources than most hip-hop producers? And not that that's a bad thing.
Where did hip-hop start, Mike? I'm just curious. Where hip-hop start?
I mean, I don't know. In North Carolina? It did. Most of the South Carolina.
Okay, so Mike, hip hop started in South Carolina and North Carolina. Shout out to the home states.
Yeah, of course.
Migrated its way to New York, Mike. I don't hear California in any of that. What are you talking about? Resources.
No.
He created the resources.
No,
man.
no. This is what I will say about the
It's not
California.
his fault that he sourced out in a way other people didn't. You're knocking him for having a music maker's approach to producing hip hop records.
Well, let me rewind real quick
Those
because
records have changed hip hop.
let me rewind real
Most
quick,
notably
Coop,
the Chronic.
to answer your question. And that New York connection or whatnot. It doesn't really get spoken about a lot, but a lot of New York artists at that time, they were actually going out to Cali to get beats. LL Cool J was one of them because Russell Simmons had a team of producers out there in Los Angeles. I forgot the name of the collective, but yeah, they were producing records for New York artists. That's how the whole NWA thing happened anyway. Remember when Cube was writing for, a New York act? That's because one of them New York acts had come out there to, get their stuff produced on the West Coast. So that whole relationship between Cali and New York, Cali's not getting a lot of the credit that they should get early on because they produced a lot of that early LL Cool J stuff. So there was some Cali production. That's why the first hip hop radio station ever was based in Los Angeles. Because there was a big hip hop scene out there in LA. And even Glove was telling you about them filming Breaking out there. You know what I mean?
That's a numbers game, but I hear what you're saying.
No, I mean, they filmed Breaking out there for a reason. There was a scene out there in LA.
Hey,
early.
Mike, this is what I'm saying. Okay, so let's look at it like this. Has a producer and a beat maker just inherently by himself. He's on par with these guys that you're talking about based on the early material. And give me 1 second. Where he did all of the work and or the bulk of the work. Okay? As an executive producer, he exceeds all these guys, literally doubling the classic output of almost all their catalogs, including Kanye, including RZA. This is not a conversation. Because he did most of the beats. He did the beats on Straight Outta Compton. He did the beats on Niggas for Life. Easy does it. No one can do it better in the Chronic. Mike, that's 5 right there. So that's enough to walk around and compete with anybody without that. As an executive producer, Mike, he has Doggystyle, 2001, the documentary, Get Rich or Die Trying, and the Marshall Mathers LP. That's another 5 that he contributed beats to and executive produced. Nah, there ain't nobody else walking around with 5 classics that they produced all the beats to and another 5 that they executive produced that they did beat work to. That person doesn't exist. Kanye doesn't have it. RZA don't have it. Dilla don't have it. Preem don't have it. Pete Rock don't have it. Only Dr. Dre, Mike. And that's really it at the end of the day. Any way you want to toss it, he got it in the bag. His bag is deeper. He just got more in the bag. It's just what it is, Mike.
Let me play devil's advocate here. Do you not feel that if he was able to put his name on an album like All Eyes on Me as executive producer, where we know that Daz did more work on that album than he did, and he was able to put his name as an executive producer on Good Kid.
Work, Mike. You don't know what the editing process or the add-on, like, you don't know.
Let me finish.
Mike, you know this from doing behind the scenes. Sometimes it takes just as much time to edit a show as it does to do the show. Now, does it not?
I know that. Now, but I'm also doing the show too. so it would be different if I was just editing. So, but this is what I'm going to say.
Glove said that Drake did beats on Doggystyle. Like, we're clear about that, right?
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying, though, he didn't... How much work do you think he actually did on Good Kid, Mad City? Do you think that there's a possibility that he could have just put his name on Good Kid, Mad City? Because let's just be real. If his name's on an album, that's going to help it sell. That's going to help the marketing side of it. I think that was the whole notion with All Eyes on Me as well, because we knew it was Pac, and we knew that the super team was coming together, and Dre's name had to be on there. Now, is there a possibility, just for sales purposes, his name ends up being executive producer on an album without actually having to do that work.
All Eyes on Me is a valid point. And here's what I'll tell you, and maybe this is the conversation.
What about Good Kid?
I think that's another conversation because of where Kendrick was at, because I really do think, how about this? I think Kendrick and his camp put that project together, but I think they were feeding Drake everything and he was guiding it. He's like, no. You need to keep that one. And like, you know what I mean? That got to go, or you got to change the sounds of that, or I'm going to come in and help clean that up some. You know what I'm saying?
Why culturally don't we give Puffy the same credit for doing the same thing?
We actually have talked about how we do need to give him more credit for doing the same things. I feel like in Good Kid, Mad City, he's more of an executive in the front office than he is a coach on the sideline. So this is what I mean. So, Mike, it's like this. On Straight Outta Compton, Easy does it. No one can do it better. Niggas for Life in the Chronic. Mike, he's playing and he's coaching. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's say in Doggystyle, he steps into a coaching mode and a part-time player a la Bill Russell. As in, like, I can't coach and play all the time anymore. I'm going to have to split the duties. I can only, if you want me to be the coach of the team, I'm not going to be able to play as much. We're going to have to take my minutes down. So I'm going to be a part-time player and a full-time coach. So what you might see from Doggystyle up into Good Kid, Mad City is that part-time player, full-time coach.
Right.
By the time Kendrick comes around, it's executive in the office. He built himself up to that. And that's what I mean. Mm-hmm. There's nobody like him production-wise in terms of that, because
it's true.
He did what those other guys did. They haven't done what he's done. They haven't moved it from being the player coach. Think about it, Mike. He rapped a lot more than these producers, too. That's what I'm saying.
It's true.
He got more bars than Pete Rock and Preem, too. Yeah.
Trey 9 Mo with the super chat says,
who going back and forth with Ice Cube on Natural Born Killers? You ever seen Preem or Pete Rock do a mic performance like that?
It's true.
Do Dre and Pete Rock have to keep their heads ringing? Because Kanye's the only one that gets to step in that discussion, and Kanye's bag's not deep enough. Because Daytona, Mike, as much as I love Daytona and B, oh, Mike, let's not get it twisted. That's not Straight Outta Compton.
You know what?
That's not Chronic.
We may need to do this Kanye.
By thinking that.
We may need to do this Kanye and Dr. Dre matchup. I would be very excited.
Mike,
to do
if
that.
I keep I'll keep it to Dr. Dre's beats. Gonna bust your ass, Mike. It's not enough. Yes. Mike, he is the producer of In the Club, Mike. He is the producer of Nothing But a G Thing. Oh no, you don't want that. Express Yourself, Straight Outta Compton. Oh no, you don't want that, Mike. Easy does it. We want Easy. No. He made those beats, Mike. It's funky enough. No, he did those beats. Deep cover. Yeah. You think them Ye beats enough?
You know what? I think I can win. I think I can win.
I can feel it.
I think I can win. I think I can win.
I don't think you stand a chance, Mike. Natural Born Killers? No, I don't think.
I think I can win. I think I can win that. Trey 9 Mo with the super chat says, and Warren said that in a new interview that he bought all the samples. He brought all the samples to Dre for the Chronic. Heard that.
Okay, so this is what I'm saying about that. People got to stop looking at that like people help each other. Mike, I said this before. I'm gonna say it one more time. Straight plug talk, quick plug talk, Mike. Preem gave Nas and Hit Boy samples for KD3. And is Hit Boy less of a producer now because Preem helped give some samples to the project?
I mean, Nas was the one that told Preem to use the Memory Lane sample.
I mean, I can't think of probably how many artists Preem's probably done that for that we don't know about. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure.
Like, come on.
36 Chambers with the $20 super chat showing love says, sounds like we're trying to pigeonhole Dre into a narrow producer role according to your definition. He's an engineer, producer, talent acquisition dude. You can be multiple things, and if anything, that adds to your resume. That's fair. Leroy Green with the super chat. Shout out to Leroy Green in the building. Says, Mike, you can hear Ye is sonically mixes down his material like Dre. Therefore, Dre is his blueprint. Jazz is classic, but Dre made the beat explosive. Made the beats explosive. I see what you did there. Um, it's true.
Glove actually. See, that's what I'm saying. So it's like I can't play phone tap or explosive because Glove played the guitar on. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that what we're doing?
I mean, we just don't know what was made. But this is what I will say about Dre, and this is irrefutable. Scott Storch could say that he made Still DRE all he wants, and he probably did. But nothing that Scott Storch has made outside of Dr. Dre sounds like that record. So Dr. Dre adds something. It is what it is.
That's what I'm saying. How do you want it? Do you want the beat maker Dr. Dre? Because he can do that. Do you want the part-time player, full-time coach Dr. Dre? You want the executive Dr. Dre? There are a lot of Dr. Dre's, Mike.
Well, the executive producer didn't make any of the beats, so we're not going to do that. That'll be like, we got to put...
No, Mike. Like, Get Rich or Die Trying in the documentary. No, the way those albums play, Dr. Dre helped put that together.
Yeah. But is he the executive producer?
Hold on. How did 50 become part of the documentary again? I believe that's Dre.
Of course.
Hearing how the album was going and knew what the album needed to be.
Was Dr. Dre the executive producer to Pimp a Butterfly?
Who wants to be a millionaire today?
Was Dr. Dre the producer of To Pimp a Butterfly?
I'm not sure.
Because it was well put together as well. Let me see.
I don't think so, but I think he's the blueprint of that too. Because who do you think helped put Good Kid, Mad City together? You think Kendrick didn't pay attention to that? Kendrick, very smart guy.
Well, yeah. I'm sure everybody who worked with Dre has to pay attention. I mean, we talk about how great of a talent person that Snoop is. I don't see who executive produced this. Does anybody have a copy of Good Kid, not Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly? Because it just shows the producers. Yeah, I don't think Dre was the executive producer on here. Because if he was, his name would be on there. Leroy Green with the super chat says, Evidence made Last Call on the College Dropout, but Ye engineered it. Just like Dr. Dre, the mix at the end makes the song stand out. I didn't know Evidence made Last Call.
The mix does matter, Mike.
The mix does matter. Dr. Dre is living proof of that. 36 Chambers with a super chat says, Eminem also helped produce all of his work and D12. Dre isn't solely responsible for Eminem production choices being questionable. But he's the executive producer, though. We got to get the good with the bad. You can't sit here and say when he's the executive producer, when the album's great, he gets credit for it. But when the album's not, well, Eminem did most of his production. You know what I'm saying? Can't do that. We can't do that. We do that on this show a lot. When it's certain, and we do this sometimes too. When it's people we like, we make certain, we just bail them out, man. And it's like, no, I'm just trying to keep the same energy in regards to Dre as we do with these rappers that we talk about had ghostwriters. Snoop in particular. We can't just throw out everything.
Executive producer of 5 classic albums before Doggystyle that he did the beats on as well.
Yeah.
Before Doggystyle.
He's tough to match when it comes to that.
Before Doggystyle.
But one could argue after that era, it's kind of slim pickings and there's a lot of help. Now, this is what I will say. Dr. Dre's exit from Death Row was the end of that label. And so if Daz is like that, and somebody said this in the comments earlier, he should have been able to put Death Row on his back. I will say that.
Let me ask you something. Those, how many beats he do on Get Rich or Die Trying? 4?
4.
And 5 on the documentary?
I didn't count the documentary, but I believe that's probably around what it is.
You're going to have to go show me 9 better beats from Kanye around that time before you start.
Well, actually, Kanye has the best beat on the documentary. Dreams.
I don't agree with that.
Dreams is the reason why. I mean, the Game said this himself. A shout out to the Game. The Game said Dr. Dre didn't start working on his album until he heard Dreams. They did Dreams. Dr. Dre said, let's start working on your album. So the only reason why the Game even got off the shelf is because of Kanye's production.
That's not true.
What you mean that's not true? The Game said this. That's the truth. You think the Game just made that up?
I do.
Oh my
I do think he
God.
made that up.
Why do you think that's not true? The game
I
was
don't know.
waiting in
I'm
the
not
wings
getting.
for a
I don't get
minute.
into family feuds, but I don't believe that.
That's the truth.
I don't get into family feuds. I don't believe that.
Yeah,
They need to
it
work
is
that
what it
out.
is.
That ain't right. So no, that don't sound
If
right.
it's inaccurate, what evidence do you have that that's
I
inaccurate?
ain't say, like I said, I don't get into family feuds. It
You
just
don't
don't
want to
sound
believe
right.
it. You don't want
It
to
don't
believe it.
sound right,
You
Mike.
don't
No,
want
that
to
shit don't
believe it.
sit right. No, it don't sound right.
Okay, so Hated to
But
Love It
here's what I
was
do know. I'll
pulling
take
Dre and
Don't
Dre.
Worry. I'll take Don't Worry and How We Do has beats over Dreams. And I might take the running beat over Dreams too.
What do y'all think in the chat? Is Dreams better than those beats? Because I think so easily. 36 Chambers says, no
Of
change
course
in
you do,
Mike's
Mike. It's
mind.
Kanye.
36 Chambers says, no change in Mike's mind on John Legend, Alicia Keys, Eminem, or Dr. Dre. Always gonna find a
Did you won
reason.
the game?
Always gonna find a reason for these takes and some hating. Listen, man. There's no. Let me start with the John Legend thing. Let me start with the John Legend thing.
Please don't.
I
Oh my
love John
God.
Legend's first two albums, especially the second one. Coop, you there? You went out for a second.
Oh God.
Love John Legend's first two albums, especially the second one. Once again, it's one of my favorite R&B albums from that era. I have nothing against John Legend. I just state the fact that his music is a lot less soulful than what it was when he once came in. Is that inaccurate?
He's saying John Legend makes music for politicians and white people. Next.
Well, bar mitzvahs and it's cool though. That's a lane. And Alicia Keys. Listen, man. For me to feel like Alicia Keys' vocal pitch is out of tune is not hating. I mean, you could pull out a damn tuning machine and play one of her songs, and that can actually give you the result that you're looking for. Now, if the tuning machine is going crazy or whatever, you could just say Mike was right. If the thing stays in the middle or whatever, then I'm hating. Eminem, listen, we don't even have to go on this diatribe. Nothing that I said is hating per se. Y'all know y'all ain't riding around listening to his music like that. So that's just it. And Dr. Dre's one of a kind. His resume is what it is. He's just had a lot more help than most hip hop producers, and I think that his process is more similar to Puffy's than we're giving it credit for. That's it. I'm just saying we gotta keep the same energy, man. That's it. Just trying to stay consistent. I'm not hating. And I'm sure they're going to add Steph to the pile, too. And I love Steph. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, Ghost said that in the studio, rappers trade bars all the time and bite material. He said this for Supreme Clientele. We're not taking points from Wu, though. Got to keep the same energy for Dre. Team effort. I agree. And I applaud team efforts. I love It Takes a Nation. I love Akumenai. But if we're talking about individuals, we have to know what individuals did. Michael Williams with the super chat says, what are your thoughts on Young Thug as an artist? Personally, I find his music more interesting than Future's. I think Young Thug's a legend. I've said that on this show before. I think Young Thug is one of the chief creators of this era.
More interesting, but the music is not as classic. So I will agree with the more interesting take, but Future still has the better songs overall to me.
Yeah.
But like Mike said, still a legend.
Yeah.
Yeah, still a legend.
Trailblazer for his era, definitely. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, Mike, if Dre could just put his name on anything, then you'd be seeing everyone coming out saying that he isn't a producer. You're speculating with no evidence. Would everybody say that if they got their check, though? I'm saying. Listen. If let's just say, I got paid for my work on Get Rich or Die Trying, it's doing the numbers that it's doing partly because this man's name is on there. I ain't saying shit. What you mean? Why would I? You know what I'm saying? There's no reason to. If we've already, like you said, one of the things that you said in the beginning was very important. The groundwork that Dre put together for those classic albums that set a foundation for not only him, but just hip hop music in general, it's like some Phil Jackson shit. So it's like, okay, if I'm coming out, yes, put this nigga's name on my album. I don't care what he's done on it or didn't do. put his name on my album. Hopefully he listens to it and does do some work. But if he doesn't, his name is on there. That's gonna help me, especially as a new artist, sell better just to have Dre's name on my album.
Listen what I'm saying though, Mike. Dr. Dre didn't do anything any different than anybody else around the time. He assembled his crew. He just assembled his crew better.
Yeah.
Listen to what I'm saying. Boogie Down Productions from the Bronx. No, that was a whole crew.
You're right.
Cool G Rap had a whole Queens crew. So did Eric B and Rakim. Public Enemy,
Yeah.
whole crew.
Bomb Squad.
Mike, Native Tongues, Tribe, De La, Jungle, Leaders of the New School, whole crew. Everybody was crewed up. He just put a crew together better. That's all. He just put a better crew together. And
Yeah.
he consistently, like a great team builder does, kept on putting the best teams together. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's the NWA team, Mike. That's Dre, Easy, Cube.
Yeah.
Then it transitions, Mike, and then it goes to DOC, Snoop, Dog Pound. You know what I'm saying? Slice of Tupac in between. You know what I mean? No, then it goes to Nas in the Firm briefly.
Mm-hmm.
Then it goes to Eminem. Then it goes to Game and 50 and all them. No, like Mike, he's the best.
I mean, listen, if you got
What are you doing?
if you got to launch an artist, he's the best guy to go through.
If you got a crew, you better tell them.
And I think that that's the other thing, like when it comes to him and Kanye in comparison. Kanye did some things that I haven't seen Dre do, and we thought we were going to see it when he got Rakim or when he got Busta Rhymes. Like, Ye's able to take established guys and take them to that next level, a la Common, a la Pusha T, and even to some degree Jay-Z. And I know you got Jarvin here, and they'll probably go against that. But yes, Kanye's production helped take Jay to the next level. Dr. Dre is great with newer acts and launching acts, and nobody could definitely beat him in that stratosphere.
Well, here's what I'll tell you. This is what I mean when I say he just did it better.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's smart enough to know from watching the game that your greatest impact is usually your first shot. He really only wants to be part of the first shot. He knows how this game goes. He knows, oh, no. My first solo album did 4 mil. Snoop's first solo album did 5 mil. 50's first solo, 10 mil. M's first solo album, 4 mil. You know what I'm saying?
Why don't you think
NWA's first solo album, double platinum. Easy's first solo, double. Like, he's like, no, he knows how to take his shot. That's why, I mean, he just put the crew together better. So it's like, that's why he won't do your album if you're an established artist, but you can get some beats. Like, there are 2 dope-ass beats on the Purple Tape 2 that Dr. Dre did. And here's what I'll tell you. Is it better than the beat Dilla did for 10 Bricks? It's like, no, but it might be the next 2 beats. And it's like, well, that's who he is too. That's what I'm saying. But he's not going to do Ray's project because he know that he can't give people that Purple Tape feeling again. He's looking to create those moments, those classic historical moments, and he won't touch it unless it can be that moment. And we can't knock him for that. That's what great team builders do. It's like, no, I don't want that player. I'm not going to win a ring with that player.
I think he needs you to be in his system too to actually succeed, because the Busta Rhymes kind of brings that to mind, right? Like, The Big Bang Theory is a good album, but it sounds more like it's Dr. Dre's album than it is Busta's album.
True.
And I think that from a culture, I think he's great at building a culture for a new artist more so than an existing artist, because why would you think that? I mean, what do you think happened with the Rakim thing? Like, how does that not work?
I mean, the way Rakim explained it, he was like, you know, Dre wanted him to do some gangster shit, and that's not what he wanted to do. In the story.
As a producer, though, do you?
They had creative differences. I don't think that, like, you know what I'm saying? I think you can hear the creative differences, and I'm not gonna say either one of them is right or wrong, but it's like the In the Club beat was for Rakim.
Allegedly.
And no, that's been confirmed a few different ways, so I'm gonna take that as word at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that Rakim didn't take that beat, no, there's something wrong with Rakim not taking that beat, and there needed to be some meeting in the middle. And just the fact that that beat didn't get taken by him, you know what I'm saying? tells me that there were some creative differences going on about the direction, because ain't no way that you hear that drop and you're like, no, or passing on it. So something creatively was going on with what was being expressed about how it was being put together. And I think they just need to do a better job of meeting in the middle. Like, you know what I was expecting? I was expecting it to kind of be gangster, but kind of poetic, like the DOC's first album.
Well, all right. It's
Like just
kind of,
updated, obviously, but I was expecting some of that. Like, you know, the DOC was hard and he was edgy, but he was also like really, really intelligent, articulate, much like Rakim didn't really curse. You know what I'm saying?
but it's kind of the producer's job to tap into that artist and make the best for them. Like, let's look at Kanye and let's look at this Common thing again, right? Like, it's not like Kanye came to Common and was like, look, Stand Up by Ludacris, that's a hit. I'm going to make you some shit like this and you need to adjust to it. He's like, no, this is Common. And he's coming off this Electric Circus thing. We need some hard shit, but we need something that's going to ring out. Boom, the corners.
I like the Pusha T comparison better because here's the thing with the Kanye Common analysis. Where's Kanye from again? Where Common from?
Chicago.
Who Kanye been listening to, looking up to his whole life? Right, that's different, Mike.
But no, his mentor is No ID. So yeah.
Who did work with him? Right. Mm-hmm. So that's different. He's literally been making beats for Common. Like in his mind, even as a young Chicago native before he had his deal from the jump. He made.
But I feel like that with Dr. Dre and Rakim too. Like Rakim is a guy.
Not true,
I feel like Rakim is a guy that everyone in the game looks up to. You know what I'm saying? And he acquired him for some reason. You know what I'm saying? He's Rakim.
That's what I mean. That's one of those pairings that I think happened too late, Mike. I'll never forget this. One of the first times that I saw Dre and Snoop on television. This is before Doggystyle, Mike. And they were actually talking to Snoop about how he was working on his upcoming album. And they asked Dr. Dre, I'll never forget this. It's an old MTV Jams episode. It was like one of their summer break episodes, and they were interviewing Dre and Snoop. And he was like, if you could work with anybody, who could it be? It's like 1992, Mike. He's like, Rakim.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It was his dream even in 1992.
So I feel like that Kanye and Common comparison thing, it's relevant because it's like Dre looked up to Rakim. You could hear Rakim in the DLC. You can even hear, shit, I was telling somebody this the other day, Niggas for Life. When you listen to stuff like Always Into Something or Appetite for Destruction, that shit sounds like Follow the Leader. Very Rakim influence. I hear the Rakim influence in No One Could Do It Better in Niggas for Life. I do. So that's why I'm saying he looked up to Rakim in a similar way that Kanye looked up to Common.
But see, this is what I'm saying though. You got to look at the Rakim that he's looking up to. He's looking up to the lyrics of Fury, Let the Rhythm Hit Him era Rakim. That guy is older and different now. Like, that guy is real ferocious on the mic and no nonsense. Like, the older Rakim is a little bit more knowledgeable, spreading the love and enjoying his iconic status. He wants the guy from Know the Ledge and from Lyrics of Fury and from Follow the Leader, and I get it. It's like, no. You're not getting that guy.
Kevlar Laboratories.
None of us is getting that guy.
Well, I mean, as a producer, though, it's like, as a producer, you're like, look, I got to get that guy out of him. You know what I'm saying?
Mike, you're not getting no Let the Rhythm Hit Him, Know the Ledge. No.
He's Rakim,
not even Dr. Dre. That's what I mean about people going to have to meet in the middle and stop being so unrealistic. That's unrealistic in your mind to think that I know you're Dr. Dre. If you think you about to get a Lyrics of Fury, no, you're tripping.
Kevlar Laboratories in the Super Chat says, I don't think Daz was interested in saving Death Row. Why not? He was still on Death Row. Snoop was coming out with his sophomore album. What better opportunity at the time to actually stake your claim as one of the top producers in hip-hop than to actually knock it out the park with the Dogfather? You know what I'm saying?
Mike, we have to watch this Dear Mama documentary. Everybody's been talking about it in the chat like the whole time. We got to watch the episode.
Oh, yeah, we will. I think I'm going to get on that today.
I'll do that today. We'll talk about it on Wednesday.
I am Pasquale Rodriguez.
It's not like people make music anymore. We might as well talk about Tupac documentaries. How Mike about to take this Dr. Dre versus Kanye L, and how he definitely about to take this Nas versus Jay guest appearances L. You go ahead and put Kanye Dre down on your list. Mike.
You know what? I'm more excited about this Kanye Dre thing, to be perfectly honest.
I am too, Mike. You're going down, Mike.
I am Pascual Rodriguez with the super chat says Mike's favorite Kanye song is Black Skinhead. No, it's not, but that was kind of funny. Lex Diesel with the super chat says it's interesting that both Dre and Kanye fumbled the ball more or less when they work with Nas. That is interesting.
Say less.
More